Hi, I'm glad to see a lot of people here. We have Fran Zandonella, all the way from Rhythm and Hues. Have you guys heard of Rhythm and Hues? Big visual effects house. Here you go.
Okay, I have a lot of information and not a lot of time. And also I'm going to be hopping back and forth between different presentations. But I'm going to start with the Rhythm and Hues, what we call the sizzle reel. This is what we do at Rhythm and Hues. It's going to take a minute, I think, for it to come over.
Does the chicken go to sleep? By the way, do you like cats and dogs? I like dogs. I can get along with cats. Yeah, you cats and a dog. Yeah, I think the projector is too big.
All right, actually, I'm going to skip that because hopefully it'll come up the next time I try to switch over to it.
They're really easy. All you need to do is just move the tuber and just check it. Really, all you need to do is just really moving, just copy.
Okay, so I work at Rhythm and Hues. Rhythm and Hues has been in the industry for a long time, which is about 22, 23 years. And that's a very long time for a visual effects company because usually they don't last very long. It's a privately owned company. We're international. We have studio offices in Mumbai and in Hyderabad in India, and also Kuala Lumpur and KL. And right now it says artists in training, but actually our artists who are in training are now actually working in production, and they're just starting the production this week, actually. So our focus is on 3D character animation and visual effects. We do films, commercials, and theme park rides. Basically, when we say visual effects, it's a post-process, which means that live action has been shot and then we're adding elements to it that are not real or not really in that location. You know, take out buildings that don't exist, and if we're recreating some old time, or add new buildings that don't exist. So basically, it's a lot of fun. We do things like The Incredible Hulk. These are our current projects. We're working on a movie about the Easter Bunny called IHOP. We're currently working on The Death and Life of Charlie St. Cloud. Been to the movies recently. They are actually showing the trailers for that. Night and Day, which is coming out pretty soon. 18, which is coming out this weekend. Marmaduke, which just came out last weekend, and that's one of the reasons why I'm able to be here today, is that show is wrapped, and that's the show that I was last on. We've had 2 Academy Awards, in 1995 for Babe, and 2008 for the Golden Compass, and 3 Scientific and Technical Achievement Awards, which I'm actually on the technical side of things, so to me that's the most cool thing, is the advances that we make in the technology for visual effects. So how do we get the work? Our executive producers go out and they go out to the studios, they read the trades, they talk to people. People know who we are, so they say, hey, I've got a furry animal and you guys do furry animals, please do a furry animal movie for us. Or we have relationships with certain filmmakers, directors that we've worked with before, movie studios that we've worked with before. And basically, our producers will go out and they'll look at what the client wants and then work out a deal with them. Basically, the producers need to talk to the VFX supervisors. They need to know, has this work ever been done before? Are we doing something completely new? Something that the studio's done before that we could easily do, in which case it might be cheaper, or something that's totally new, in which case we need to have people create something that's never been done. So production management, they're the people who hire and manage the digital artists, and they make sure that the schedule is done. Basically, these people keep track of the budget. So different areas that you can get a job in visual effects, concept, character design. We actually have a small art department, but that's what they focus on, is just character design. So we actually do design for games. So maybe you like games, but you don't actually want to be a programmer or something like that. Here's an opportunity, like for example, we worked on Rock Band and we do stuff for Mattel all the time. You know, Mattel's actually like a fairly constant customer for us, and so is Rock Band. Then we have animators, and actually we have our animation is kind of split into two different areas. We have character animation. They're the people who focus on the faces and the action of the body. We have technical animators. And they're the people who make sure that the clothes or the fur animates properly along with the character. And it's called technical animation because it can be very technical. You know, they deal with any issue that, in addition to props, they're dealing with parts of the character that are not about the facial animation. We have modeling, texturing, lighting, and effects, and 2D compositing. And then, so that was on the art side. I'm actually on the programming side, or on the technical side. And so in technology, we have all the support that you would need in a regular company that has tech, which is system administrators and help desk type people and hardware people. But we also have pipeline, and that's what I do. Basically, that is helping artists get their work done. You know, an animator's trying to animate, but suddenly the software does some strange thing. They don't know what it is. It's crashed. They need help. That's what I do. We have Render.io, so we always 24/7 have a person watching our renders go through the system, and our renders pretty much go through 24/7. And then we have software developers. So R&H has a lot of in-house software. Some places do, some places don't. Some places are mixed, like Disney actually was a mix. And they had a lot of software that was written in-house, and they had a lot of software that was coming from third-party companies like Autodesk. So we use proprietary particularly for our animation, simulation, lighting, rendering, almost everything. But we still use Maya and ZBrush. We use Photoshop and Body Paint for texturing, and Houdini for our effects. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff that kind of fits in between. And again, that's what Pipeline does. Like, I take care of everything that's not in the software. So if an artist needs a tool really quick, then I'm going to make that. If they need to have access to a painting tool in a way that they haven't had access to it before, I would do that, or somebody from my team would do that. And R&H is known for educating people. So we actually have right now an apprentice program that's open for compositing, and the deadline for that is June 30th. In this industry, you always need to pay attention to your education and be training yourself. And it's important when you look at a company to find out, do they offer training? I mean, if they don't, I'm not saying don't take the job at the company, but just understand that training is really on you to pursue, whether or not the company provides it. And I'm very fortunate in R&H that they do provide it, but it still can be a struggle because you're trying to fit in learning new things along with the fact that you've got production deadlines and they're very, very tight. So what do they look for in candidates? And this is true specifically for R&H, but it's generally true for the industry, that they're looking for competency. So the first thing, whether you're on the technical side or the artistic side, first thing that matters is your competency. You've got to have your chops, and you've got to be able to show them, so that way people can see that, whether it's in your artwork or in your programming, it needs to be obvious that you know what you're doing. And then they want people who are critical thinkers and problem solvers, particularly because we're often dealing with things that nobody's ever dealt with before. We're inventing new ways of doing things. And to give you an example, when I was at Disney, they decided that they were going to do Fantasia in watercolor. Well, why not? I mean, you know, people have been doing watercolor for centuries, so let's just do an animation in watercolor. But when they tried to film it, it came out all washed out because it was watercolor, and watercolor doesn't have a lot of pigment in it, so it just didn't get picked up by the camera. Because when they designed the camera system, they were designing it for the traditional animation paint. So nobody ever thought, hey, let's do it with watercolors. But the artist just said, well, we want to do it with watercolors. So then the technologist had to come up with a way of making that happen and making it look right without it being too much work. Another important thing is having good communication skills. So you might think being social and keeping up with your friends is a frivolous thing, but actually in the workplace, keeping up with what people are doing with work, letting your boss know what's going on, finding out what's going on, talking to people in different departments is critical. It's critical. It's the type of thing where you'll be talking to somebody and you'll find out that somebody who's going to be feeding you stuff, they're running late. Well, suddenly was that due to your deadline? If you could tell your boss, hey, these guys are running late, it's going to make you look good, but it's going to give the boss the opportunity to maybe rearrange things so that way there's not a gap in the schedule. Ability to work independently.